Hello, friends! Do you wonder about rain, snow, sleet, and hail? What's to wonder about water, you might ask? Professor Ture will tell you why. This book is filled with fun facts about rain, snow, sleet, and hail. You can read it for free on our website. Let's take a look. Once upon a time in a faraway land, there was a professor who was very fond of teaching kids. He was known as Professor Ture. One day, he thought of making his students aware of something they come across every day, but know very little about water. He wanted to fill their young minds with knowledge about the rain, snow, sleet, and hail. So he wrote a book, Wonders of Water. Let's see what wonders he described in it. On the first page, the professor has explained how rain is formed. Have you ever looked up at the rain-filled sky and wondered how rain is made? When the sun shines, the water on the ground, in the rivers, in the lakes, and in the oceans gets heated. Warm water turns into vapor and floats up into the air. As it rises, it cools down and tiny water droplets form. They gather together and make clouds. When the clouds get full, the water falls back to earth in the form of rain. On the next page, the professor has explained how snow is formed. Have you ever looked up at the snow-filled sky and wondered how snow is made? When water vapor from the oceans, lakes, or rivers rises into the sky and cools, it forms tiny ice crystals. The ice crystals gather together and grow bigger. When they're big enough, they fall to the ground as snow. On the next page, the professor has explained how sleet is formed. Have you ever looked up at the sky and wondered what those weird ice pellets are falling from the clouds? Sleet is made when raindrops freeze as they fall. It happens when the temperature where you are is just below freezing, 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The water vapor goes through the same process as it does to form rain. The warm water vapor turns into liquid water in the clouds. But once the water droplet hits the cold air below 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it freezes almost instantly and lands on the ground as sleet. On the next page, the professor has explained how hail is formed. Hail is formed inside thunder. Strong updrafts of air keep the hailstones suspended in the cloud, and they get bigger and bigger as more water vapor is added. When they're too heavy for the updrafts to support and the game updrafts subside, they fall to the ground. Hailstones can be small or large, sometimes reaching millions of kilograms in weight. On the next page, the professor has explained the difference between rain and other forms of precipitation. We all know that when it rains, the weather gets wet and gloomy. But did you know that there are other types of precipitation too? When the temperature in the clouds is below 0, the water vapor freezes into ice crystals which fall as snow. If the temperature is just above 0, the water vapor condenses into liquid droplets which fall as rain. If the liquid droplets freeze while falling, they turn, and if the water vapor gathers in strong updrafts inside a thundercloud, it can freeze into hail. The next page describes some interesting facts about water. Most of the water on Earth is salt water. Only 3% of the Earth's water is fresh water. A water droplet is heavier than a piece of styrofoam, yet it floats. Hot water boils at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. But at the top of a mountain, water boils at a lower temperature because the air pressure is lower. On the next page, the professor has explained how we get our drinking water. Almost all the water we use comes from the oceans. Special machines called desalination plants remove the salt and other minerals from seawater, making it safe to drink. On the next page, the professor has explained how water is conserved. Whenever we use water, some of it is wasted. This water goes down the drain. But we can collect this water and use it to water the grass and add it to rivers and lakes to supplement their water. This is called conserving water. On the next page, the professor has explained why we should conserve water. If we don't conserve water, there will be droughts and water will become a limited resource. Many people won't have enough water to drink. Plants and farmlands will dry up and many animals will die. On the last page, the professor has given a message for all of us. The main message of the story is that water is a precious resource and we must conserve it. We should also be aware of the various forms of precipitation and the processes that form them. I hope you enjoyed this wonderful book by Professor Ture. You can read it for free on our website. Now close your eyes and let the professor's words fill your mind. Let him take you on a magical journey full of adventure and fun. Let's go!